I want to say to whoever I'm accustomed to seeing here who does not seem to be here today, I miss you, my brother Fenton Ferguson.
But I want to hold somebody accountable that after we leave this place, if these things should not have happened, who should we hold accountable?
Morant Bay Urban Centre will commence construction, and we will be building 465,000 square feet of space to be rented.
First and foremost, let me say I am happy for the progressive project that is happening in Centre, especially in Western Centre. My question and my main concern is there was a gentleman that was going through my property, and he said that they're going to build a bypass road through the property from the bottom of Gwenpen to the ending of the bridge. And in order for him to make that road, he has to go through my daughter's house. I need someone to give me some highlights on this. Thank you.
Alright, as far as the roadwork project is concerned, there's a proposed overpass to the entrance that actually might affect properties. I know the NWA is in the process of issuing notices. The final design is not out, but yes indeed, your property might be affected and others. So there's a drainage feature that goes to the box culvert up by Patrick Street, and there's the overpass here that kind of stretches a bit to the north in that direction. That actually might affect the property. So more dialogue will be held with the residents as soon as the design is finalized, but also as far as I'm aware, request from the parents that type of front of this great milestone. Alright?
It's truly a pleasure for the National Commercial Bank, its subsidiary, NCB Capital Markets, and its alternative investment platform, Stratus Alternative Funds, to be part of this monumental project. So though the ambitions of our friends at FCJ, and believe me when I say FCJ, but for the people of St. Thomas, they ensure that they get the best financing terms, right, to ensure that this project is a success. So though their ambitions were great, the scale and the financing required seemed gigantic. We were able to demonstrate the greatness that can be achieved, the problems that can be solved, and the gaps that can be filled when Jamaicans come together to work for a common goal.
Sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Our protocols observed. I'm Morant Williams from Seaport in St. Thomas. I'm very pleased and impressed with the representation that Minister Robertson has been giving us over the years. But in some cases I see where sometimes he doesn't have the assay as he would normally want. The service of a liaison officer, I'm wondering if that position is available, and say I am unemployed and would like to take that position.
Sir, you deserve. Sir, you deserve that round of applause. You deserve that round of applause. You sat there and you heard about the opportunities that this will provide for people in St. Thomas. Stand up and talk. I agree with you. I agree with you. So sir, I'm going to just invite you maybe afterwards to engage the right person.
Now I want to ask, who will be accountable? Because I heard a date on the 18th of April. The malls and all these things will be dumped up and the materials will come in. If this date should come and nothing has happened.
Alright, thank you very much. we're listening for the cricket. Will the cricket pitch be affected?
So the short answer is yes, but we have already conducted some developmental planning. There's a 30 acres adjacent to the property, which is presently owned by the government. There's a cabinet submission that is being prepared and submitted. We have also worked with Minister Grange, who has indicated that she really requires a multi-purpose stadium. We have a concept design that is already completed, and we will be sitting down. As a matter of fact, Sir Dennis was supposed to be here, Chair. He has given his apology. We will be sitting down with the cricket club to discuss with Ms. Grange a way forward. But there are lands that are available, and FCJ has given its commitment to be part of that development for a multi-purpose stadium to be placed in the parish.
Who should we hold accountable for this? Because for too long, we have been seeing and hearing these wonderful things. But after the time when it comes, there's nothing. There's a moment of silence, a period of silence.
This development is really about all of us working together for the good of the most important stakeholder, the people of St. Thomas.
A lot of people never believed we would have an announcement that took place almost 3 years ago, a groundbreaking almost 2 years ago with the Prime Minister's presence.
This piece of land was the first place in Jamaica where cane was planted mechanically. And no longer we have any cane in the parish of St. Thomas. So we look to a future. And today we are looking at a great future, a very interesting future, a future that will embrace all of us in a totally different context. And I support it, and my family support it. I also happen to have been the first person to be responsible for, before Mr. Kennedy, I built those 40 houses just below us here. Now it was known as Moon Base, now we can call it a Sunlight Center.
So we are fully on board as it relates to the risk and the rewards.
I want to say to those who may want to bring politics into this urban center, don't bother with it.
We're going to be hearing from the project manager. Well, I should indicate that though you've been hearing a lot about Factories Corporation, the management company that is really responsible for the operation and the execution of all of this is called the Morant Bay Urban Centre Ltd. And they would have contracted a project manager, and that project manager is in the person of Kirk Kennedy. This company is in the person of Kirk Kennedy.
And we are committed to the project, and we are committed to the people of St. Thomas. Thank you.
I also want to recognize that the aspect of agriculture is still very much in our heart, and the first agro park in Jamaica is beyond that fence, right over there. And we will start giving you tours because we've only been running it for 16 years. So we want to finish running it when I'm gone and you've gone too. So that means forever. Take care. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marjorie Harris, citizen of St. Thomas. I have listened to all the persons who have gone up and spoken, and I have not heard anything about the cost of the project, because many years ago that this was first mentioned here, I would have thought that a cost was ascribed to this. But with inflation and all of that, I am wondering what is now the new cost to do this project.
Okay.
Thanks for the question. The development cost of the project is $6 billion. And I must tell you, if you know, the more you know about construction projects, the more questions you ask. Like, you know, how did you manage to get that way? And the only thing I can say from my perspective in terms of what I've seen, as something that I've never seen before, is the collaboration between MBUC, our MBUCs,
equity partners, those being CHEC, Factories Corporation, and NCB. They really went at it and did all that was possible to ensure that this project cost could remain at $6 billion. That's something I'd also like to say publicly. I've never seen it before, and I've said, you know, that's the way to go, and I'm really happy to be a part of it. Thanks much NCB, thanks much CHEC, thanks much.
I am just wondering if the river, the Johnson River, that is beyond that building there, if what will be done to it, if anything, and is it incorporated in all that is done?
Okay, I wonder if it's the project manager again. It's the architect. Okay, so the architect would have made the designs, so he is best placed to answer.
Good afternoon. It's a very prudent question. It has been a burning discussion. Matter of fact, I want to say that the Prime Minister has issued instruction that National Works Agency will embark on some river training. It is not incorporated in this budget, however, it's a part of the long-term development. The real consideration has been given to it in light of the 50-year event, because we are aware that there has been flooding in the past, and so we are mitigating against it. But there's some level of money in the National Works Agency allotment, and it has been instructed by the Prime Minister that it has to take place during the construction and the road renewal that is taking place. Right? To the extent of the level of money that we spend, I can't truly say, but I know there's a allotment in there for the embankment and for the treatment, and also for the protection of this property. We have put in perimeter fencing that will give us some buffer potential for the should there.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mario Sands, also resident of St. Thomas. My question is a follow-up with a question regarding the water. I am concerned about the water, especially the wells, and also the dump that is on my left here. Is there any plans for that? Because I am concerned that the water may be affected by with the residents will be probably affected by the water supply that is around this area. And this area is a flood-prone area. So I am concerned, how is that going to be worked on? If that could be answered.
Thank you very much. So the flood-prone nature of this space and the water, okay, so the designer again is going to speak to this.
Expect to be on the stage for so long, but anyway, we are cognizant of the dome. It is being also addressed. Mr. Henry, who knows the area even more than I am, have schooled me on the whole surroundings. Clearly, we're sitting on what is called an aquifer. It's fed by the Johnson River. Under the WRCA, we are not troubling or interfering with this water source. Let me try and manage it as best as possible. For those who are aware, the National Works Agency and the National Water Commission has 3 or 4 major pumps. We have actually 6 wells on the property, 3 of which is active. These wells will be managed. We are also in discussion right now with NWC to ensure that right of passage to these water lines are maintained, because they are firmly seated at the northwestern end of the property. We don't want to disrupt the service. This water source, as is alluded to by yourself, is the source of life for St. Thomas currently, correct? And we will not interfere with it. We're going to try and enhance it. We're going to try and manage it even better. Our current situation here is that there are 3 inactive wells. We're also having them tested to see how best we can reactivate them. It was contaminated more than 25 years ago, so we're hoping that life as it been will go, we can restore them to the original position. I hope I've answered your question.
From IG, can you provide any information on the allocation of space? Is that you again? Yeah.
I think I need a seat up here. Well, in terms of the allocation of, and I'm hoping that they're speaking of rentable space. I can only say, as the chairman alluded to earlier, it's 114%. So I don't think there's any vacant space left. Of the 465,000 square feet that we're putting in place, there's a gross rentable space of about 385,000, which pretty much most of it is taken up. Apart from the government agencies, most of it is committed. There might be, and I suspect it, we might have to do a raffle for the few remaining shops that are available. I can only say to you, act quickly, head to FCG or their client services and find out what is still available. But not a lot left.
What's the projected end date for the project? So we know the start date, but what's the projected end date?
As we said before, it's a 24-month project. Okay? So we're talking about April of 2023 is when we're looking at the projected end date. However, I must remind you, sorry, 2024. We're 2022 now, sorry, 2024. Thanks, excuse me. Right, 2024. And I'll also say that there's also going to be what we call a defense liability period. Right? And that also means that we're going to be here for an extended period after to ensure that all of the buildings and services that are designed and implemented they actually work and work to our satisfaction.
As a follow-on to my fellow C4 resident over there that's talking about employment, one of the things that I've always been saying, where infrastructure development is happening, human capital development is also very, very important. And my wondering is, in terms of the shop allocation, if there is a certain percentage in terms of the distribution considered for local residents. So I know there is the government agencies, and I know there is certain shops, maybe KFC was a consideration at one point, but in terms of local businesses, was there any consideration for that?
Okay, and whomever is going to take that, I'm going to add to that a Facebook question as to whether or not there was any units for sale for local business. But not only just for rental, but the question was whether or not there was any for sale.
Good afternoon, everyone. So the decision was that 49% of the development would be allocated to the public and 51% private entities. We have made a recommendation to the FC board and to the Morant Bay Urban Centre board that 20% of the overall private sector space should be reserved for indigenous businesses out of St. Thomas. We were here probably about 3 months ago. We did a function where 120,000 square feet of spaces were signed up by St. Thomas business. So Chairman, I believe the sales team and the marketing team will ensure, and a matter of fact, unlike Brian, I would want to encourage any St. Thomas businesses who have not yet written. There is a space agreement, reservation agreement that is available with my team. Please collect your document, have it written up, and have them submitted. There's a process of assessment of each business who will be allocated the space. So we will ask for background of the business. We will want to know that there's a business plan and some projection as to how this business is going to sustain itself. But we're willing to work with the residents, with the existing indigenous businesses to give whatever support is required.
My name is Karen Coombs. I'm an educator. I just want to ask a quick question on behalf of, well, maybe directed more to the local government. I want to know what will be done, because sustainability of this urban center is very important. So I want to know what will be done to liaise with the high schools, basically secondary institutions within this parish, to build this awareness amongst the young people about the urban center and to ensure that they understand their responsibility as citizens of this parish to care for this in years and many more years to come, because they seek to benefit most. So from the local government standpoint, I want to know if there's any form of education program to sensitize the young people about the urban center and the sustainability of the urban center from a citizen's perspective. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jen. It's some amount of sensitization as we heard before, but the question is very specific to the secondary level, students in secondary level educational institution. Is there a plan for that direct sensitization?
Very, very important question. I must say, over the last years, possibly 2.5 years, FCJ been touring almost every secondary school in the area, talking with the students, talking with the teachers, telling them about the opportunities that will exist on this project, encouraging them to continue to upgrade their educational skills, the opportunities that will be coming from the BPO industry. What are the requirements? How many CHEC subjects to be required? And encouraging them to continue, even if they have left school, to continue doing one subject a year. During the 2-year period, you will find yourself having enough qualification that when the jobs are ready, you are ready to. So we have been doing that for the last consistently. And I must say, I must congratulate the marketing team of SCJ because they took on that project. I've attended many of them with them at these schools, promoting the importance of their involvement.
The wells. The aquifer is out live and well, and currently we're just going to rehabilitate the system, ensure that the pumping and the pumps are in great condition. So there will be very little or no impact to the community, as you even suggested or inferred, that it probably improved, because what we are going to rely on in this particular location is the rehabilitation of 1 or 2 of our own wells, and we have adequate on-site storage, complemented by, we see that there are some huge tanks in there, but we will have our own adequate supplies that won't impact the community.
You're going to take the question, who's going to take the question as to the municipal building being built first, whether or not?
I'll simply say this, while I know that the municipal building is a part of the first part of the implementation, we're encouraging what we might look at as people sectional completion. We're not opposed to that, but we need to ensure that they are in readiness, because we have all the designs in place. They need to review them and ensure that when the shell is up, they can habitate these spaces and move quickly. The municipal buildings, as it were, we're trying to ensure that these are part of the forefront in the development, because it represents order, it represents governorship of the parish, and we want to have that established. It's a big part of the mandate from the Prime Minister that we want order, we want proper organized development. So this new modern building would also seek to represent that in its architecture, in its prominence in the development, and what it represents. So we have no objection, because we are going to look for sectional completion. I will go a little bit further, because we spoke about some satellite buildings in there, and people talk about KFC, and all of these people are on board and they are eager, and I mean eager. We get phone calls every single day. When is the start? And so these buildings, including NCB, are part of these satellite buildings that are there, which represents the group. As a segue into this discussion, when we are talking about the question that was led to and the chairman addressed, there is the opportunity inside this development that we have allowed for a museum, and that museum is a part of what we call the attraction of this facility. It's making it a destination that will speak to, as Mr. Henrique said, our great history. And I would like to ensure that the people of St. Thomas is a part of this. And so is this ground that actually we're seated on is a part of a park that will sensitize our children and by extension the community of this history in terms of how this park will be maintained and operated as part of the amenities of this facility, so that it becomes a destination that you all enjoy day in, day out.
Don't move. The next question is, will there be an enclosed auditorium?
Short answer is no. There will be an auditorium to facilitate the cultural aspects of the town, and to have, if for instance, if you have JCDC and all of these things, and we have open bands and stuff, there's no enclosed, as it were, any kind of community auditorium.
Don't move.
So what next one have a $300?
I'm just going to allow this gentleman to ask this question first, but I have a few social media questions for you. So, you're going to be up on the chair. Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay, all right. So we're going to wrap up because, as you know, it is getting night is drawing 9. A few from Facebook here. When will the project start? April of this year. It's a 24-hour. It's a 24-month. 24-hour. Whoa, 24-month project. Is there a partnership with agencies such as HART? Yes, there is. Will the urban centre be built and accessible for the disabled community? Yes, to that. And what percentage of workers will come from the parish in terms of the construction phase? 80% are local labor.
Even if it is that we can confirm that local entities will get whatever percentage of shops, I'm just advocating and pleading that there's at least a small business hub so that our local people are not left behind. One of the things that I'm scared of and what I'm seeing is the possibility of development to be happening around us and not for us, the people of St. Thomas. So let's not allow the development to be happening around us and not for us. And that's not just for the powers that be that makes determination, but for us to realize, because I realize that a number of people who are owning property now based on the development that is happening are not people from St. Thomas. And the statement earlier that the MC was trying to carry, I don't know about any of you who have tried to advocate for the development of our parish over the years, but it's something that I've been doing over the years, and I believe you can agree with me to say, I'm happy, this is just more emotional than anything else, I'm happy to live to see the day when development in St. Thomas is possible and people across Jamaica are actually lauding us. So the statement is that I have forgotten that they have said that St. Thomas is a forgotten parish.
While we are eager and we are happy for this development that is taking place, but over the years, as a child growing up into my adulthood, we're always hearing about the forgotten parish of St. Thomas. And all these years, we've always seen things happening. A few years ago, we saw the ground breaking. And so I remember sitting in this spot under this spot of ground here and there was the opening of this place. But I want to hold somebody accountable that after we leave this place, if these things should not have happened, who should we hold accountable?
Yes, it is getting late, but that's an important question. We have waited so long, Mr. Chairman. We have been patient. Nobody has taken more criticism than I have for the lack of development. I listened to Ms. Mullins a while ago, and she said St. Thomas is no longer referred to as the forgotten parish. I can tell you, if you want to buy a lot of land in St. Thomas now, and I was warning my residents, the citizens, anything you can see you can afford to pay your taxes and to buy, hold on to it legally. Now that question tells us one thing. If we, Mr. Mayor, are forced to understand the challenges that Mr. Tani Shirley has gone through, the rigor that NCB has put it through, the architect, we have here all the people who are controlling the timelines, the engineer who worked on the biggest project ever, housing project in the history of Jamaica, is here with us. He reminded me he went on as a junior engineer and left as a senior engineer. He is going to hold the timelines together. In terms of the start, after Easter, let's remember we have Easter, our holy period. Once we see Easter come, I know that CHEC, if they get their deposit from NCB and Factory Corporation, will start dumping to protect this. I look forward to it. We have gone a long way and we have to be positive tonight. And I only say to the Prime Minister, the agencies of government, today led by the Factories Corporation, thank you on behalf of the Member of Parliament for East St. Thomas, myself, the Mayor, and all the citizens. Thank you.